Good morning. We call our meeting to order, our first meeting in October. Do we have anyone on the line? Okay. Well, then we will begin our meeting with the, you'll notice that there's just two of us on the dais. Supervisor Chairman Howard will be joining us this week. He is coming in from out of the state. In fact, he's up in Canada, and so we will wish him Godspeed. And we've missed him. So, what we'd like to do is our first item is Pledge of Allegiance, and then I've got a little business to conduct. And so, can we have our Planning and Zoning Director Steve McGoy lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item is because, and it's not on the agenda, but it is germane and important to take care of procedurally, because I am just a board member, not the vice chairman. I would entertain a motion that we go ahead and pass the gavel. I've been asked to conduct the meeting basically just based on our brand new supervisor. Doesn't have a lot of meeting experience, and we've got a public hearing on 4 parcels, so it's been asked that I go ahead and conduct the meeting, but I need to get the approval of the board. So I'll entertain a motion for me to serve, to conduct the meeting, not as vice chair, but just to conduct the meeting, today's meeting. Yeah, how about a first?
I'll make a motion for Supervisor David to conduct the meeting today.
Okay, and I'll second that. It makes it unanimous, and we are ready to roll then. Our first item of business is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting and work session held on September 18th. Those have been reviewed. Thank you very much for taking care of that, Hannah. Very, very well done. Any comments or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting and work session held on September 18th, 2023.
And I'll second that, and that motion carries. Next, procedurally, the demands and handwritten warrants. That's just basically the authorization to pay our bills. And I'll entertain a motion for that approval.
I'll make a motion for the approval of demands and handwritten warrants.
Okay, I'll second that. We're moving right along. We have Sheriff Allred. There's Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, ACJC, has funding not only for us, but we also are the agent and pass-through funding for our other agencies through this grant or this money.
Yes, that's exactly correct. This particular grant right here, the Sheriff's Office has been receiving this grant for well over 20 years in running right here, and it's through the ACJC for $26,000, almost $27,000. And yeah, it's for us to pay our overtime, not just for our agencies, but for other agencies in the valley. Whenever we have any of our bigger drug cases that are happening, or it can be a violent crime, homicides, things like that would pull a lot of funds from each of our agencies. We're able to get this grant to help assist us with our overtime for our deputies and officers here in our valley. And it's like I say, this is a 20+ year deal that's been going on that we get this money from ACJC. So we're asking for your signature on it again, please.
Okay, and if I understood we were getting 4,000 or 5,000 of this, and the rest is passed through to the if they request and they conform, then they get the funds.
Yeah, the other agencies out there. I mean, we will get whoever gets the hot crime that hits them. That's probably who's going to get the majority of it.
Okay.
And I would love to pass on to somebody else, but I don't want to have any of this may happen to anybody else either. But But yeah, so it's through the years, it's happened to where, yeah, if we have our homicides in our county and other agencies come and help us also, I mean, then that's money to help pay for them. But we do the same as if Safford, Thatcher, Pima, if something happens in one of those where they need our assistance, then we can use that money to also help pay for that overtime in those areas also.
Very good. Sounds, well, we've been supporting it all along. I think this is it would be a terrible mistake not to approve this, but any other discussion? Okay.
I'll make a motion for the approval to accept the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission Drug, Gang, and Violent Crime Control FY 2024 award for $26,933.87.
Thank you very much, and for your vigilance and diligence and the men and women of both the detention center and our sheriff's office.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
And search and rescue.
Appreciate it.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, I'll make that unanimous. I was in favor of it, but I'll formally be in favor of it, and that motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have Colin Fanning, our emergency response coordinator, and also works at the health department. He's got an item of business for us.
Good morning, board. Thanks for having me. So I'm here in Brian Douglas's place, but we are seeking approval of up to $40,000 in unbudgeted capital to purchase two 40-foot insulated storage units to be housed at the highway yard, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Can you basically, for those who haven't read through the agenda packet, could you share the purpose of these and as well as the fact that one of them is going to have air conditioning and climate control?
Absolutely. So we have a number of storage containers like this at the yard. None of them are quite this big, but we use it to house our excess equipment, a lot of personal protective equipment, emergency response. There are gurneys, everything that we have for, not everything, but a lot of the stuff we have for emergency management, we keep over there for, so it's not all in the office. These two new units would be used for the same thing. We have, especially after COVID, we have an excess of a lot of excess personal protective equipment. What the first one, or the unit that is to be air conditioned, is specifically for the personal protective equipment that has an extended shelf life within a climate controlled environment. That is the reason we would like to hook up that to electricity and have AC blown in there, is to extend the shelf life of that equipment. And then the other one won't be climate controlled, but it'll be for the same storage purposes.
Very good. But the insulation will moderate the temperatures. So
Exactly.
very good. Well, I am a strong proponent of emergency preparedness, and the worst thing is to be in line behind big urban counties when you need supplies. And so it's great to go ahead and take care of this and prepare ahead of time. I'll check with on some of the details. I'll check with Dustin on who pays the electricity and whether, how that's, if it's going to be a separate meter, but I'll take care of those other details just out of curiosity, just to see how it's going to be handled. Any other questions or discussion? Comments?
I think it's good to be prepared. I think our health department's done a good job, and if they feel like these are important, then I will make a motion for the approval not to exceed $40,000 in unbudgeted capital to purchase two 40-foot insulated storage units to be housed at the highway yard.
Very good, and I'll make that unanimous. We did have bidders in our packet, and the apparent, has that already been awarded? Or is this going to be awarded pending the approval today?
Mr. Chairman, we have a lowest qualified bidder. That's who will be awarded to, which is JTS Containers.
Local, okay. Very good. Okay, so we don't need to approve awarding, okay. Okay, well, that motion carries, it's approved, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Get it stuff full of good stuff, especially people that, want to give their stuff away. Let's collect as much as we can, and it's like stuff the bus, but stuff the container, and hopefully we will never need it. Okay, we have an item on our agenda for liquor license approval that's been pulled for whatever reason for the rodeo this in 2 weeks. Don't know if that was timing or just decided that they have a dry rodeo. So we will move on to presentation, and glad to see our principals are here for the proclamation for National Women's Small Business Month, and I'll let you give us the information on that and handle this item, Dustin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you noted, this month is National Women's Small Business Month. We've been approached by Mr. Eric Bejarano at the EAC Small Business Development Center, and he has provided a proclamation that we've reviewed and are in favor of, and would like to present that to the board, but I'd also like to give Mr. Bejarano an opportunity to speak if he'd like. If not, no problem.
Or Tori, either one.
Yeah. Right.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I don't have the proclamation, but I imagine you're going to read it in just a moment. It's been a busy morning. We just made it in time, so I'm glad we're here. I appreciate you reading the proclamation and accepting it. I am proud of our team at Eastern Arizona College SBDC that we've actually brought back Small Businesswoman recognition for October. It's been on a hiatus since COVID, and we have also grown it and expanded it from Graham and Greenlee County onto Gila County as well. So each county board of supervisors has agreed to read our proclamation at their first meeting this month, which is incredible. So thank you to the board. Thank you for reading this. I appreciate it.
Very good. So in addition to receiving this, now we need to approve the proclamation, and then we'll have it read.
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation for National Women's Small Business Month.
And I'll make that unanimous, and thank you for your work in small business development and extending that to women and to men. Sometimes they do it out of ego and pride. Businesses, women do it out of necessity, and are great supporters of their families and the community. So that is wonderful, and you're a great example of that, Tori, with your entrepreneurship. So I'll go ahead and make that unanimous, and we'll go ahead and could you please read the proclamation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation for National Women's Small Business Month, October 2023. Whereas working women constitute 72 million, or almost half of the nation's workforce, and strive to serve their communities, their states, and their nation in professional, civic, and cultural capacities. And whereas there are more than 12 million women-owned businesses in the United States, generating 2.1 trillion in sales and employing 10.1 million people. And whereas working women should be applauded for their contributions to the workplace and the financial stability of their families, especially during the economic downturn when more women have become their family's breadwinner. And whereas a central purpose of this month is to promote equity for all women and to help create better conditions for working women through the study and advocacy of social, educational, and economic issues impacting women in the workplace. And whereas the Eastern Arizona College Small Business Development Center, Gila Valley Small Business Woman of the Year Committee recognizes women business owners in Graham, Greenlee, and Gila counties through its annual Gila Valley Small Business Woman of the Year Award on October 24th. Therefore, I, John Howard, Chairman of the Graham County Board of Supervisors, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim October 2023 National Women's Small Business Month. We urge all citizens, businesses, and community organizations in the Gila Valley to join the salute to working women and business owners, encourage and promote the celebration of the achievements of all working women and female business owners as they contribute daily to our economic, civic, and cultural goals and livelihood.
Thank you so very much. I wish that Supervisor Chairman Howard were here to enjoy hearing that being read. His wife is another great example of a successful small businesswoman. Okay, so our next item, we will leave our regular meeting and enter into a public hearing, and we have 4 items to.
That's next on the agenda.
Oh, okay, thank you. I just saw Dustin just reminded me that we have a current, we can report on our events for the last couple of weeks. We have, that's optional, brief summary. I'll go ahead and we'll start with our county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few projects to provide an update on with the board at this time. Our Gila River Fire Mitigation Project will continue. We've had to take a break during the summer for the environmental requirements that is required of us, but on the week of October 15th, we'll begin the fire breaks again in the Gila River. We have 12 remaining breaks to finish out this project, and we'll start on the west end down in Geronimo. A couple projects are wrapping up and continuing the extensive roofing projects that we've been doing at the fairgrounds. On the exhibit buildings, those are completely done, and we're excited for that for the fairgrounds. We've applied a 50-year warranty roofing coating on those exhibit buildings, and we're excited about all the improvements we've done with those, and we're ready to see them in action this weekend. We're also working on the 4 ramadas and bathroom re-roofing. Those are the ramadas and the bathroom in between the 2 duck ponds over at the fairgrounds. So those are underway and should be finished this week or next. I want to report on some election training that Hannah and I were able to attend last week. It was required for recertification, and a reminder that the elections are coming and coming quick. Our first election will be the presidential preference election, which will be held on March 19th. So we are very much gearing up and getting ready for that. Our highway department has been very busy flush coating, fog sealing throughout the county. They've been right across the river on a lot of the roads, on Airport Road, Safford Bryce Road, Ray Lane. They've been up in the Bonita area, out at the fairgrounds, and this week they're finishing up in Fort Thomas, and that'll complete our 2023 fog sealing program. We also helped the town of Pima chip seal 4 miles of road, and another large project we're working on is the Fort Thomas River Crossing Project, rehabilitating that crossing, and it's been a little slow with working with the water in the river, but it is progressing, so we're excited about that project. And then finally, of course, everyone's well aware, we've got the fair this weekend. It'll kick off on Thursday night at 5 p.m. And then for the board, we have the parade at 10 o'clock and our luncheon right here at noon. And of course, that goes all the way through Sunday. And I told Trey he didn't need to come today because he's extremely busy to our meeting, but we have a full slate of action and activities, and we're really excited what that fair board and our staff have come up with. So hoping for a great weather and a great weekend. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'll just add, piggyback on yours, Jerry and Sandy Hekakia are going to be the parade grand marshals for this year. And so we look forward to having them there. They're thrilled with the opportunity. Next, we'll go to our vice chairman for a report.
I don't have anything.
Oh, come on. You traveled with us. You traveled down and were at the CSA meeting. Talk about that.
Yeah, I did go spend a couple days at the state legislature for CSA meetings, and visited with other county supervisors, and it was my first one, and kind of interesting. We all have the same problems. But I also got to go and award the Grand Marshal certificate with Supervisor David to Mr. and Miss Hekakia, and that was a great experience. They're definitely deserving for that spot, so.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll just say he's an amazing rapport at the state level. People really identify with Supervisor Vice Chairman Mack. I'll give a brief report. The 18th of September was our last board meeting. The following day, went to a couple events. One was Constitution Day at EAC with Gail Griffin giving the keynote address. I joined Sheriff. I don't know why they put us on the stage, but we were there. But it was they had about 300 students. They had it was a nice turnout. Excellent event. And later that afternoon, I had an opportunity to participate in the Arizona Community Foundation Graham and Greenlee County Awards ceremony for a number of the nonprofits and individuals who were serving our community. That was really a great event, and we appreciate all the volunteerism and all the good work. Most of it goes unnoticed and unthanked in our community. The next day, Wednesday, there was a Southeastern Arizona Sportsman Club, and they had a deer seminar here, and probably 100 eager kids, and some of them looked like they knew what they were doing, and others, I'm glad that I'm not hunting this year. But they will be supervised. So the following morning, Dustin and I traveled to Phoenix and met with Vice Chairman there at the County Supervisors Association meeting. And then Saturday, September 23rd, there was a Mount Graham Regional Medical Center. They had a 50th anniversary dinner and a number of employees. It speaks well to their culture. They had a number of employees who'd been there 30 and 40 years, and some since the beginning of the hospital. And that was a great event, and it was emceed by our former chairman, Danny Smith, and that was great. We are so blessed to have a community hospital. All you have to do is look at Douglas and other small communities where they're at risk, and to know that we have a strong institution. It's great to live in Graham County. The following week, Monday, the 25th, I went to actually I chaired a Rural Transportation Advocacy Council meeting, and we're working toward we have our annual event and working toward some resolutions and trying to continue to get transportation funding for the rural communities. That night, the City of Safford had a council meeting, and some interesting developments on their park and on the some other activities. Met the next morning, a couple of staffers from Governor Hobbs' staff came up, and we met along with representatives from Thatcher and the school district and our own county, met and shared some of our concerns about what our needs are, and City of Safford was there too. And later that day, no, actually, let's go to the next day. It was all a blur. I participated in the Friends of the Library radio auction, which was a success. Looks like a little over $10,000 was raised. Then I spoke at a Lions Club meeting, got a flu shot, Safford Lions 5K, 10K run and ride organizational meeting, and ended the weekend with joining Keith Alexander and at the Hispanic Heritage Celebration. Eric Bejarano and his lovely wife were there, and they had a sellout. They had over 200 tickets, and that money goes right into scholarships, not for not only Hispanic, but for it's a race is not considered. It's just basically rising tide, and it lifts everybody's ship. So that was my report. And Mr. Chairman's not here, but Mr. Vice Chairman, that's my report. So now we'll do the public hearing. And thank you for that correction, Dustin. We'll invite our planning and zoning director. Our public hearing is, we basically, these 4 applicants have gone through the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, and now we have an opportunity to either ratify or modify and approve or disapprove the recommendations from Planning and Zoning Committee.
Good morning, gentlemen, and the rest of you.
Oh, and by the way, if you would like to speak on this, the principals applicants will have an opportunity. Do we need a request to speak for anyone opposed, or is that just part of the hearing?
We would like them to fill out a
Okay.
sheet either before or after. Would be
Okay,
fine.
very good. Thank you. Thank you for the interruption. Just wanted to clarify that so we didn't miss anyone's comments.
All right, we got 4 hearings here this morning. The first one, rezone number 884-23. This is for quite a few parcels of property south of town. This, the access to it is Concho Road, which is the southernmost entrance to Thunderbird Valley off of 191. There is another one off of Swift Trail, but that's the southernmost entrance off of
I like that with your
191.
laser pointer.
I was hoping you'd have that up there, but I didn't plan for it. I can't even tell you off the top of my head how many parcels there are here. I think there's 8 or 9, but they're all right in here. Everything, with the exception of this parcel, it's everything between the Wash and Concho, west of Branding Iron and east of 191. Mr. Broderick has requested commercial manufacturing zone for the purpose of temperature-controlled storage, just like he's doing next to Fertizona. This went to the commission. They had quite a few questions. Mr. Broderick answered them well. They gave him a favorable recommendation to bring it to the board. Mr. Broderick is here to answer your questions if you have them. Like I say, they gave a favorable recommendation, and we'll take questions if you've got them.
Very good. And can you refresh our memory as to what is in a commercial manufacturing zone, what activities are allowed? Because this area was, I think, was initially designated, or I think in previous plans for retail was okay, and retail sales, but for commercial manufacturing is what are some of the activities there?
Commercial manufacturing is the only zone that specifically outlines storage rentals. So there are some other commercial zones that would allow storage for a business that's there, but this is the only one that specifically calls out storage itself by itself.
And would fabrication and in essence light or even medium fabrication occur, which with the noise and the especially if it grew and went to second shifts and I'm asking the question because of the neighborhood.
That is a possibility, and that is allowed by the zone. Mr. Broderick has said he intends to build site-built, so there would be no building other than while he's putting them up. Of course, I mean, that it still is allowed in that zone. And because of the way our ordinance is written, there's no other way to allow for storage units there, though. So it's kind of a catch-22, and maybe something we should fix when we redo our ordinance. But currently, that's the only way to put site-built storage units on the property. But it would allow, that zoning does allow, and you'll hear this in the next couple, it does allow for manufacturing. It does not allow for noise and light and that kind of stuff. I mean, there are stipulations you can put on that in CM in a residential neighborhood, but the zoning itself does give right to that.
Okay, I'll pass the mic to you if you have any questions, thoughts.
This is kind of a tough one because it's right next to the neighborhood, but how many neighbors, did anybody oppose this?
We did have one letter from a neighbor, doesn't have, if you could turn the zoning off, I could, yeah. There's a neighbor down here that wrote us a letter indicating he did not want it. And he sent a petition around, and it's signed by 4 other people, but none of them own property in there. They're all renters. And he is outside the 300 feet, as are 3 of the 4 of them. Doesn't mean they don't matter, but they're not up close there.
Not directly impacted.
Correct. The 2 lots directly east of the former owner and the current owner both came in and sat in our first meeting, never said a word. Didn't seem to bother them, and they're the closest neighbors to any of it. But we didn't hear from anybody else.
Were there any stipulations, even though they might have been discussed, any stipulations forwarded?
No, they asked about whether there would be fence and whether the lot that's excluded would have, how they would access, but there was no stipulations suggested.
Is the whole area right there, is that all 1.89 acres, or is there more than that?
No, that would be all of his parcels after they've been put together. It would be a 1.89.
And then all said and done, we're putting in storage? Okay.
His start is relatively small. His first building that he's actually put on the plot plan takes up less than one of those lots, but as he needs to grow, this would give him the room.
I'd like to propose a stipulation, and as you're constructing the sites and your storage, of course you can't contain that, but I would like to, at least for discussion purposes, stipulate that or propose that any manufacturing that where you're sending materials off-site, like if you were doing fabrication and then like for steel sheds and then selling them off-site, that there be a building that it's contained in, so that you don't have and this may not even be part of what Mr. Broderick plans, but so you don't have the arc welding, the flashes, and the noise and things, and that it's contained. Initially, there wouldn't be any requirements for that, but later on, if there was a manufacturing component, that it be done inside of a building. And I would note that England and Sons has a welding shop just down the road, and they do almost all their fabrication indoors. Open Loop Energy has heavy manufacturing, and we never hear complaints. They do their things. Of course, a lot of it's high tech, but you know, I think that would be, to me, that would meet my concerns about the neighborhood, because we are getting infill, we're getting people moving in, be more and more noise and conflicts. But I don't know if that would be. I hate to unilaterally say you got to do this in order to, but at least for discussion. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't think that's his plan, but yeah, if he's gonna manufacture his storage sheds there, then it needs to obviously, he needs to do it inside, which probably is gonna do that anyways, so.
Would that, can we engage and have Mr. Broderick come up and address us and
Sure.
and share, rather than trying to predict or project what his plans are?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we will also have to realize that if he were to turn around in 5 years and sell the parcel, then that zoning, we would need to find a way so that the next person who purchased it didn't have the, you know, a free for all as far as putting together a large outdoor manufacturing facility.
I'm not the legal end of this, but I know you can put stipulations like hours of operation and light and noise. I don't know whether you can go that far and say, I mean, if you give them CM, I think you have to give them anything that's a right inside there, but I'll let somebody else answer that. But go
Well, I
ahead,
mean,
Mark.
you did talk about fencing, and fencing as a screen, you know, and that can be stipulated.
It could, but the way he plans on building this, his doors are going to be to the inside and the outside wall will, so,
Yeah.
I mean, his building will be his own fence, I think.
Yeah, and I don't have any trouble, any problems with the initial. It's got to be outdoors. Everything's got to be outdoors to start with. But I was just thinking for future. So anyway, Mr. Broderick, please. And please be candid with us and share what you really need and your concerns.
Absolutely. Pardon me. First, it's funny, some of the other agenda items, if it weren't for the SBDC at Eastern Arizona College, there's absolutely no way I'd be here right now. 6 years ago, I walked into them not knowing a thing about business, but certainly has helped me grow and get to where I am today. And funny, the other agenda item, the county and county departments even recognize the need for climate-controlled storage and indoor storage to be able to maintain items that are of value or importance in the long term versus outdoor storage. So the plan is strictly climate-controlled self-storage. There is zero plans for manufacturing on this property now or in the future, but with your stipulation of manufacturing inside. When I first started manufacturing these, I did have to manufacture them outside and in the dirt, and that was not fun. So it absolutely would be inside if that were to ever happen, but that is never a possibility or never an intention whatsoever. We have a great place to manufacture right now. So climate-controlled indoor storage. Storage is not absolutely the best thing to look at when you're driving down the highway. I understand that, but the way the stipulations are wrote in Graham County and most counties is they do need to be on the highway. These, as Mr. McGoy mentioned, I'm building some currently about 50% built next to Fertizona on the west side. There's only going to be one visible exterior door. There's not a line of doors that you just see driving down the road. There'll be electronic access, security controlled. So they'll have a better look, in my opinion, than just a row of doors you see going down the road and people, you know, all over the place. The intention is not for fence, because if we build on the property line. You'd have the 3-foot stipulation. That really doesn't do a whole lot for hiding anything. But that is the intention, is just strictly climate controlled. This is future. Obviously, the sooner the better for me. That's my goal, but this is not anything that's going to be done next week or 2 weeks or whatever. So there's zero intention for manufacturing, basically, is where I'm going at. But I'm fine with a stipulation of if there is manufacturing in the future, that it be indoor. That wouldn't bother me one bit if necessary.
Thank you. Anything else? And I appreciate you. You're a great advocate for yourself. Director McGoy, and this may be something for our legal team, but our stipulations, do they transfer with the ownership, or do they cease at the end of the upon the sale of the property?
Well, we don't really have a good way of tracking it, but our intention would be to put it in and it would go with the zoning.
Okay.
I know that there's been stipulations made in recent history that I just currently am working on getting them documented because they aren't. We don't have a good place to house that, but we'll figure it out.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else? And we got a favorable from the planning and zoning.
Yes, unanimously.
Okay. Since I'm the one that came up with the this is a little irregular for me to chairman usually, or the acting chair usually doesn't make the motions, but in this case, since I have the stipulation, I'll go ahead and move that we, unless you have any other discussion, I'll move that we approve this zone map change, REZ 884-23, for 1.89 acres for Mr. Broderick, with the stipulation that once the construction is complete on the facility, that any fabrication for sales and for any other fabrication for retail sales occur inside of a building.
I'll second that.
Okay, and I'll make that unanimous, and we will, that is approved. And best wishes to you. Thank you very, very much. Okay, next item. I thought we'd discuss these all together and then vote separately. We won't be able to vote, but I thought we'd hold because they're all basically clustered together, and unless someone objects, that we go ahead and discuss this whole proposal from the Howards, and then vote individually on it.
That's how planning and zoning did it. They got all their everything was said during the first one, and then when we called for comments on the second and third, we got nothing. So
Okay.
They did go ahead and make separate motions for each agenda item, though, so you'll need to handle them the same way.
Understood. Please proceed.
This next one is zone change 885-23. This is 5.76 acres south of the Graham Canal on Safford Bryce Road. Can you turn, whoops, let me turn mine on first. That's this parcel here. Yeah, that's our first one. They're asking for CM, and Jim, do you want to tell them what you want to do? Or one of the Howards, I don't care.
I'll be happy. Thank you, Mr. McGoy.
Incidentally, we did get a favorable recommendation with a stipulation recommendation, which, like I say, I don't know that that's something we can do, but we can discuss that more.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Jim Bryce, representing the Howards. we've been approached to use warehousing for warehousing, and as you know, there is a need for warehousing for different things in the valley. This happens to be a very good spot. I think it's the highest and best use for that property, as you can see all around it, except for Mr. Palmer's house. There's that wash. There's the land north is the hills. The land south is the agriculture. It's an excellent spot for what we're wanting for this CNM zone, and we want to, and we were willing to work with the highway department on access, and because it is on that corner. But I've been looking at it. Is that the top one? Bottom, that one. There is. You can see on this one that we're talking about. Of course, the access will be here. And there's already access over there. There's the canal bridge, and that will be the access for that property. And I don't know what else to say about that property, except we do want to put warehousing there. Possibility of a laydown yard, which is, there's some mining equipment that may come in that may be bigger, and they can leave it outside, and that's where it will be. As far as manufacturing, right now, we want to leave that open, to tell you the truth. We want to be able to manufacture if that's what's the most appropriate thing. And we don't want to be like restricted that we can't do it, because who knows, we're trying to do this and trying to, so we want to be able to leave that open and available to do. And I think it's an excellent spot for it. But
Where's your access? Where are you thinking your access is going to be?
Thinking the access is, there's already a little road there that they have that'll come down to there from Safford Bryce Road, right there. But in consultation with the highway department and different things, and Mr. Angle back there, we can move it one way or the other. But really, you can see coming up over the hump into the Butler Wash, you can see before you drop into the Butler Wash, you've got a plain view. Coming around this corner is a lot better than what it used to be. There used to be a bunch of mesquite trees right here, and you couldn't really see. But now those mesquite trees are gone, and you do have some type of line of sight.
Jim, as far as a laydown yard and manufacturing, I visited Open Loop Energy, and then I also Elko Wire Rope, and I was really surprised at Elko. They're actually in the back of their facility. They've got these big, huge Caterpillar tracks that they are rebuilding and welding, and so they've got a very, but that's. No one knows it because it's back behind their facility. Right. And so even though that's kind of in a quasi, it's not exactly a neighborhood, but there are homes within earshot. Right. And and I was surprised how much they were able to do with very little impact. My there are letters of opposition, and one of them was from someone that doesn't even live within the 300-foot radius. So that was just at large and not necessarily a.
Well, there's only one letter.
Okay, well I got an email.
Oh, okay.
And so we are able to do that. It's not on the record. So my. And there's no question that with the way the mine's expanding, both to the east and to the west of this proposed facility, there's no question that it's needed. My concerns, my only two concerns, one is that if the highway department or the engineering department selects your access point, then that responsibility is then ours. We said it's safe, it's And so I don't want I wouldn't propose a traffic impact analysis, because those are, 30, 40 pages long. They do everything, but, including future existing traffic, uses, it's an expensive paper chase, but they do have a traffic impact letter where you have an engineer take a look, and what my concern is stopping sight distance. Stopping sight distance for people coming around the curve. And so if I would, that for all three properties, your ingress and egress, I would think that a stopping sight distance analysis to determine if you can put it there safely, where's the safest place for that entry, and is the proposed location, will that meet all the stopping sight distance requirements? Have you talked to anyone about that? Have you investigated what they call SSD?
We have not investigated it. I'm just thinking, anytime you get 60 pages from an engineer, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
This is 2 pages, a 2-page.
I was going to say.
This is that's the traffic impact analysis. No,
You're
I'm talking about
a lot
letter.
of money.
I'm talking about a letter. Just someone who looks at it, could be a local engineer, doesn't necessarily you don't have to spend, but we do need, I think for the county, we need a third party to say it's safe. This is a safe location. It'll meet with existing speed limit, it will meet the safety requirements. I've seen them $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 or less, depending on who you get to do it and how competitive the market is.
Okay.
We have a criteria for which a traffic impact study can be required, and I think it is based on a traffic count done by our engineer. I don't know if we can go outside of that. Maybe you can, but if it doesn't have the traffic count, I know with Layton on Ray Lane, we were not able to require it. Eric could talk to that better than I can, but based on the traffic count, we can require that. I think that's a must, but I'm not sure.
Well, again, I don't want to, and this is just me, I'm not speaking for the board or for our risk pool, but I just think that it would be having a third party take a look at it, unless our engineering department feels like they can do it in-house and want to go out on a limb on that and say, here's your best location, or this location won't work. That's my only concern. Yeah, you've got a road there, but you'll have heavy transporters, which are as far as operational characteristics are. Vice Chairman Mack's very, very aware of how long it's going to take to make a turn, because you've got a heavy load, and it's not like you can just pull on and pull off the highway. So. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, could we ask our engineer in the room, Eric Engel, to come up and just say what they'll be looking at if the zoning's approved?
Okay.
And a site plan is submitted, what they will require?
Sure.
So we talked a little bit with them in the planning and zoning meeting, that they would just have to work with us on this. It's something that we can count if the county wants to do the traffic count on the road to determine, like Steve said, if it requires some traffic analysis. As far as me and Michael drove out there the other day just to kind of look at it. There's not a lot of good options other than kind of where it's at, because as you move west, you have the wash and there's no sight distance there. And then as you move east, you have the curve. And then Watson Lane's not a great ingress egress access point either, but I would agree if they could get an opinion from someone else on the stopping sight distance, that would help, but we're willing to do the count and figure out if that's what they need to do or not, so.
Okay. But, so you're saying that the count would be, the stopping sight distance would, if you do a count and it doesn't meet the threshold, then there would be no stopping sight distance study? To me, it's, you know, the whether it's safe to put a, it's
Right.
independent of how much traffic. It just takes one vehicle who
Right.
doesn't have enough stopping sight distance
Yep.
and reaction time.
No, I agree that someone should look at it and let us know. I was just saying, Steve brought
Okay.
up the point that
Yeah.
how it's written right now. So
Yeah, I just think it should be independent of the traffic threshold.
I agree.
Okay, good.
Mr. Chairman, we do have that authority at administrative level. And if we don't feel comfortable with it, which we probably won't with this, and we can ask them to get an engineer to provide a letter and
Okay.
analysis on where a safe place
Very
would be
good.
without
Okay.
doing a full traffic
Yeah,
impact
yeah,
study.
I'm not in favor of that, even though I'm not a consulting engineer, I'm a professional engineer, but I don't want to spend other people's money. Any other issues? Any other comments? Concerns?
I think it's a great place to do what they're wanting to do. There's definitely a huge need for it in the valley. I know there's a bunch of warehouse buildings just to the east of there where GCR is. Reed's Properties put in a bunch. They filled in fast. And quite honestly, I'd just soon see all this go across the river in locations like that. I don't necessarily know that we need a big traffic study. I feel like if they could work with our engineer to get a safe access, I personally feel like that would be sufficient, but I definitely feel like it's a great spot and a great opportunity to keep that stuff out of town.
Very good. Anything else, Jim?
No, we appreciate your time.
Very good. Well, I will thank you for your reassurances, Dustin and Eric. Yeah, I won't compromise on safety, and I'm concerned, and so that's, and the only other concern I had was on noise, and you know, it's not exactly in a neighborhood. It's in a good location. Like I said, you've got trucking businesses along that roadway. You've got Open Loop Energy, and they've got, in essence, a laydown yard. You can see their hydraulic equipment. We don't have any screening requirements for them where they have to put things up. So if this were in a location like we just with Mr. Broderick, where you're surrounded by houses, I would probably push hard for some kind of a screening or some kind of a mitigation. But I just don't think it's feasible in a laydown yard. You'd have to have a Schuff steel overhead gantry crane and building in order to keep it in house, and that's not reasonable. So, anything from the public, for or against? Anyone else would like to speak for? Mr. Howard, or? Okay, very good.
In my opinion, there's not going to be any more noise or concern other than more than the tractors that are going in the fields that are right next to it. Those tractors are making more noise than the trucks are, and the trucks aren't going to be coming in that often, not as often as tractors are. I don't want to have any stipulations on that property. It's a piece of property out there the houses are not within the 300 feet area. I don't want any stipulations.
Well said. Thank you. Any other time to deliberate? And I'll entertain a motion.
Making a motion on all three or just the first one?
Let's go ahead and we'll have to do one at a time. Thank you. That's a good question.
I'll make a motion for a zone map change. REZ number 885-23, 5.76 acres. The request is to change the present A general zone to CM commercial manufacturing zone for future development of 5 commercial warehouse laydown yards. Applicant is Ronald and Janice Howard. Site address is just off Safford Bryce Road, located east of Butler Wash, west of Watson Lane, and south of Graham Canal.
I'll second that motion. No stipulations. The traffic issue will be handled internally with permitting. That is approved. Approved. Thank you. Next. And you can abbreviate it if you want to.
Okay, you on each of these, you need to call just to make sure that there's no public comment before you try to make a motion.
Very good.
Make
We're
sure
on number
anybody
2.
who needs their say gets it.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing none, nothing online? Okay.
I'll make a motion for zone map change, 3.86 acres. The request is to change the present A general zone to CM commercial zone for future development of 3 commercial warehouses. Applicant is Ronald and Janice Howard. Site address is between Graham Canal Road and Safford Bryce Road, located east of Hubbard Cemetery Road and west of Watson Lane.
I'll second that motion, and that is, that zoning request is approved.
And then
Anything from the public?
yeah, your last one is zone 887-23, and you need to, I don't think the applicant has anything more, and I don't think there's anybody there, but you gotta ask.
Okay.
Make a motion for zone map change, 4.83 acres. Request is to change the present A general zone to CM commercial manufacturing zone for future development of 3 commercial warehouses. Applicant is Ronald and Janice Howard. Site address is north of Safford Bryce Road between Butler Wash and Watson Lane.
And I'll second that motion, and that zoning request is approved. Very good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're very, very welcome. Our last, we have two quick items. One is the call to the public. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to adjournment, and the meeting is adjourned. We'll have